What's your name?
My name is Jordyn, and I am a math teacher here at Woodland. And I enjoy math teaching. And I enjoy little dogs. Am I supposed to look at the camera or not? Okay. And I enjoy art and design and decorating and watching TV and all kinds of things.
Okay. Pretty interesting stuff. How do you teach to the state standards? No.
Well, teaching to the state standards has been challenging in the last few years because they've changed it 3 times in the last 5 years, I believe. So, what we do is we look at the state, we look at what the state sends us, and then we base our curriculum, or what we teach each day, on the state standards. So we literally go by what they say to do. We try to find resources. For instance, this is a brand new Common Core coordinate algebra book. These are hard to find, but we found this one, and so that goes with the Common Core. So we find new resources, and we go online, and we, just do what the state says, because of course the end of course test is coming.
Yes. And how will you prepare students for standard assessments?
Standard assessments, like end of course test. Great. Well, preparing for test taking and test taking skills is actually my specialty. I studied it as part of my master's program at UGA. And so I have accumulated over the years many test taking skills that I give to my students on actually a daily basis. Towards the time when the end of course test is coming up close, we focus on it daily. Practice questions, we analyze the questions, we use the answers to find which answer is wrong. We find all the wrong answers, the right answer pops out, that kind of thing. I find that once the students are comfortable with their own abilities, then the anxiety of test taking just kind of goes away, and my students generally do well.
Okay. And so say there was a student who was to act up in your class. How would your discipline philosophy be?
Well, the first thing I do is I give them a verbal warning, more or less a dirty look, if you will, a teacher look that says, I see that and I don't approve. Second thing is that we go out into the hall and we have a private conversation where I say to the student, we're both in this together. Our goal is the same thing. You're either with me or against me. What's it going to be? If you're going to be with me, we're fine. If you're going to be against me, we're going to have some issues, and that's going to be your decision. And then we come back in and continue on. If the behavior continues, or if it gets worse in some way, then different things will happen after that. But for the most part, I don't have those problems.
Okay. So, how do you make sure you meet the needs of a student with an IEP?
Well, my experience allows me to do what we call formative assessment on every student pretty much every day. Now, formative assessment means that I am, as I'm walking around the room each day, or even just observing from here or from my overhead even, I can tell what a student has learned that day, or what the whole class, but mostly individual students I can tell. Often too, that's why we do a lot of work up at the board, so that I can see which students need help and which ones don't. So you will notice that my desks are in pairs, and I oftentimes pair students up with someone who's strong versus someone who could use a little extra help. We also play our 2-tour, 2T game, where everybody goes to the board, but nobody's up there alone, so they always have someone to help them, and everybody learns.
Okay, that's good. So why did you choose to become a teacher?
Well, I didn't really choose to become a teacher. It chose me. Okay, it chose me, and here I am.
So, in public education today, what do you consider to be a major issue?
Well, in math, you know, they're changing the curriculum, not just to willy-nilly change it. They're changing the curriculum because they're trying to improve it, and I respect that and I appreciate that. However, the problem that we're having is they need to let it go, you know, let it continue on. They're changing it too fast. They're throwing it out, saying, well, this doesn't work, here's something better, before the one that we're working on has a chance really to work. Also, I am a little concerned with you know, teachers being held accountable for the students' learning, which on the one hand, I understand and I respect that too. On the other hand, when a teenager completely decides they are not going to learn something, how, you know, I don't know how I'm supposed to fix that.
Yeah.
I mean, when people make up their mind and then they hold me responsible for that.
What is the role or responsibility of a teacher in a classroom?
Well, I believe the role of a teacher is a coach. It's someone to encourage the student to lead. It's to lead by example, to try to make the class interesting, fun, relevant meaning it has something to do with the kids' lives. I think the teacher is responsible to use as much technology and all of your stuff to bring math to life in a way that makes sense in your world. Plus to keep the students accountable. And you know, if a kid has his head down, it's my job to go over there and tell him to get his head up. So that's my job, and also to bring you the math, so there's a lot going on.
Okay. What was the most challenging lesson you have had to teach, and how did you overcome that obstacle?
The most challenging lesson? Interesting. Well, I have to say, in our new curriculum, we have had new topics that I didn't quite understand because I'd never taught before, and actually had never seen before. It is truly a new math. Well, the bottom line is that no matter what anyone brings to me, you know, students come in the morning here all the time, and from different classes and from who knows where. People ask me about math all the time. And I don't memorize math, and I don't teach memorizing math. What do I always say? I say feel the math, and that's because when students bring stuff in, I don't know the answer. I work it out with them and show them how to work it out. So that's like doing the math live. So that is what has really worked for me. So instead of memorizing math, we just actually do it as we go. So I really don't have any problems teaching.
What kinds of strategies do you use to challenge students to have an in-depth understanding of mathematics?
Well, right, again, that's what I call feel the math. Okay, instead of just memorizing things, if I see this, then I do that. If I see this, then I do that. Is to understand really what's going on underneath the math. For example, today we're finding the mean absolute deviation of different sets of data, and that's fine. And it's just you know, a list of things you do. First you do this, then you do this, then you do this, and all of a sudden you have this thing called MAD, mean absolute deviation. Well, what does that mean, and why are we going through all this trouble? That was our lesson today. Why are we doing this, and how do we use this to analyze these two pieces of data instead of just, well, now I can find the MAD. But the question, in-depth question to me is why.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.